Welcome to the Ryan and Nate's Business Podcast. Come listen to these two blue-collar business guys. Nate, your go-to automotive repairer, and Ryan, your local heating and air contractor, talk about business, how to help you, and hear stories from our local unsung heroes. Community matters to them, and so does a healthy business. Here's Ryan and Nate.
All right, guys, before we get started today, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Chirp. Chirp is a company that performs magic. What if you could have someone automated in the background, hitting send on those emails, hitting send on those texts, ringing someone's phone and leaving messages without having to have a staff member do it? Chirp, what they do is they do all these things. They create customized campaigns for our clients, and they happen in the background. This happens in the background. Your client never forgets who you are because they're getting a personalized text. They're getting a personalized ringless voicemail just magically dropped into their cell phone to remind them who you are, your services, to schedule that appointment, to schedule that oil change for your car or that sales appointment. It automatically happens in the background. And then when that client interacts with it, then your staff picks up where they left off, and they do what they do best. They do the magic and the artwork of creating that personalized experience for that client and getting them scheduled. If you would love to learn more about them, we have a link to them and their promotion. They are providing 25% off for the first 3 months for all of our listeners, along with 50% off the onboarding process. And that is no joke because they create customized campaigns. So please check them out. That's Chirp, CHIIRP. Today, we are excited to have Rolland from Houscall Pro. Ryan's going to introduce Rolland for us.
Okay, great. So, Roland, you said you're a poker player, a dive master, and a promoter turned tech guy. And although we love Houscall Pro, I want to learn this entire story about you. Houscall Pro is a great CRM, customer managed software that helps you manage your business. It integrates with Chirp as well. And that's what we use. We use Houscall Pro. We've used them since we were a little tiny guy. We've gotten bigger and they still work for us well. And I really love the platform. I don't think any other platform beats it. And the man behind the mask we have on the podcast today. So, Roland, please tell me this crazy story you have.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Ryan and Nathan. I'm glad to be talking with you guys today here. I feel like, the story of Houscall Pro is one story. The story of Roland's a different story, but just a little quick background. Houscall Pro, we now have well over 1,000 employees, that are working behind the scenes to make it work. So I just happen to be a talking head idea guy with a vision, but I'll definitely hop in and tell you a little bit more about myself. I grew up in the Silicon Valley, decided to move away for school. And while I was doing school, I was actually playing poker full time. And this was back in the party poker days. And
where did you go to school?
UCSD, in San Diego.
Yeah.
And actually, when I first came down to San Diego, I was at Cal State San Marcos. And then I failed out of there because I was playing poker full time. Went to Grossmont Community College for 2 years, played water polo there, big water guy. And then I transferred into UCSD. Kind of during all that time, I played poker, got into UCSD. As soon as I got there, I told the dean I wanted to go build a dive business in Mexico. I bought a yacht. I bought a whole bunch of Cressy BCDs, which are the vests, Scuba Pro, all just the nice stuff, and moved down to Cabo and set up a dive shop. And so that was kind of the end of my poker days. And then I focused on building out a service business, a dive shop down there in Cabo. I was 21 years old, didn't know any Spanish. just had a dive business down there.
That's cool. Yeah, I went there last year for vacation. It's very beautiful down there.
Yeah, it's a great place to be when you're 21 years old.
I bet. And what I liked about there versus Punta Cana, because I've been to both, was that Cabo, the entertainment was a lot better. And I think it's just because, it's just south of San Diego. So it's, not that far away from California. So I was like, the entertainment was a lot better. But in Punta Cana, I think the food was a little bit better.
Yeah.
Those are my two resort experiences.
Yeah. Cabo is really nice if you go to San Jose del Cabo, East Cape. If you go to Los Barrillas or, even if you go up to La Paz, there's all kinds of great places down there. Yes, I was down there for about 4 years or so. Ended up wanting to actually finish and get my college degree. So sold that business back to my partner down there. No longer exists now. It's all right. It's a great learning experience. Moved back to San Diego, finished my degree, got into the kind of EDM style music. Actually, I'd always been into it. It's just, I was like, hey, this is before it was even a cool thing to listen to.
Yeah.
And so brought a bunch of Dutch DJs because I'm Dutch. So brought a bunch of really cool Dutch DJs out.
Okay. You sound like you like to have a good time.
Yeah. So
Can you host our next company fun day? Just fly out to Maryland.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And I remember hosting, it was called the San Diego Music and Technology Conference, and Qualcomm was one of the sponsors. And Qualcomm, for those people that don't know, if you've got a phone in front of you, it probably owns a bunch of the IP and the chips inside of that phone.
Okay.
Qualcomm's a massive company. It's not just a stadium where the Chargers used to play, unfortunately. And the stadium now is also gone, by the way. But yeah, and so the Qualcomm was a sponsor. Started working at Qualcomm, met my co-founders for Houscall Pro there. And then after a couple of years there, we decided to leave and start Houscall Pro.
What year was that?
2013.
2013. Okay.
Almost 10 years into this thing now, which is crazy. Startup time flies really fast and it goes really slow. And we've done a lot of stuff in between. But yeah, there's no overnight success, and it's grind, no matter, what you see online. There's many, many blood, sweat, tears, hours behind, successful things that you see out there. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
In 2013, what hole were you trying to fill with Houscall Pro? What were you seeing?
Yeah. So back during my college days, I ran a painting business and I'd go just knock on doors and paint homes in the summertime. And I did that to pay the rest of my college bills. In 2013, we actually started as a company called Houscall. And so it wasn't Houscall Pro, it was Houscall. And Houscall was a trusted app to find local home service providers. And so it was an Uber for X kind of a thing. And as we were building it, we're like, okay, well, there's one app, that the homeowner would use and they can click and request a service. And then the pro would have an app, where they get the service and they do the thing. And so that's what we started building. And then about a year and a half into it, building those apps are very hard. It's incredibly easy if you're Uber because you've got a car that takes you from point A to point B. I'm not saying building Uber is easy, but there's a standard pricing and what to charge. Someone knows what it should cost to go from point A to point B. Home service is different. You might not have a working toilet. It could just be the toilet's clogged. It could be the toilet flapper valve's broken. It could be the entire sewer line to the main line is broken, and so you have something from a quick $20, $50 fix all the way to like a $10,000, $20,000 fix. So way, way, way different than an Uber. And so what we found was, as we were building that, we're like, oh my gosh, the pros, they don't have like a really good way to store all their appointments on their phone, take payments on their phone, do marketing on their phone, keep track of all their customers on their phone, all of these types of things. And back then in 2013, I think it was maybe, iPhone version 4 or something? Who knows what it was back then, right? But iPhones were just starting to come out, and it was just possible now to run your business from your pocket. And so we pivoted hard into Houscall Pro. We launched it officially. Well, it was out in 2014, but we launched it officially in January 2015 when we launched it. And we got it out there. And our mission there was to help good pros become great pros. And now our mission is to champion all pros to success. And so that mission's been the same kind of since we started. And we continue down that mission and continue building software for our pros. And that's all we focus on is Houscall Pro. The Houscall part of it is kind of like an appendix. It still exists and it's out there. You can download it, but no one knows what it's used for. And it won't kill you, but it's just kind of there. It doesn't do anything. We haven't touched that thing since 2015. But yeah, that's the story of Houscall Pro. And here we are now, 30,000 plus businesses later, hundreds of thousands of pros later, billions and billions of dollars of just transactions going through our platform every single year. It's been an amazing ride so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I love about Houscall Pro is you guys don't rake people over the coals when it comes to the CRM. Like the Houscall Pro doesn't affect my bottom line, because I believe some of the CRMs, they're so expensive that if you are not optimizing them 100% since day one, like your bottom line's going to feel it hard. And then there's like huge contracts you can't get out of and stuff. So that's what I love about Houscall Pro is it's just a good business. And I feel good doing business with you guys because you provide a great service and the customer service is great. Like from A to Z, everything is covered very, very well. And what I love about it is, and I could be wrong about this. This is just my view of Houscall Pro. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like you got something for the guy in the truck all the way up to a $10 million company, even maybe more with some of the updates that are to come. But it's like, if I'm a guy in a truck and I just need a couple $100 a month CRM, that will work. And then as time goes on, when I get a couple jobs in, I need to upgrade to the next one, I can do that. And if I have a
That's right.
down year and I need to go down, I can do that. I haven't experienced that, but I assume you can go down as well. So it really goes up and down to what you need and what size your company is. It's a one platform that really fits all. And I really like that.
That's a good description. I think one thing that's really key is, with software, you don't have to do, annual contracts. You don't have to do that. We offer month to month. That's how most of our customers pay us, month to month. And we feel like that keeps us very honest, and we do it. And we've done it that way since we started, because if we don't deliver on our promise of delivering value to your business, you could just leave, just turn it off, just cancel it, no problem. And that keeps that feedback loop between us and our customers really tight, because each month we have to earn our keep. And obviously we don't make any money if someone stays with us for 2 months, 3 months. We're way, way, way in the hole. We work because people stay with us for years and years, but we don't do it because we force people on contracts. And there are other people in the industry that do that. I would say it's an interesting strategy. It's not the one that we choose to go down. We allow people to pay annually if they want, and they can get a little bit of a discount, but they don't have to. It's just an option that's there. And still, there's no contract. They could just turn it off after whatever 1 year, goes by. So that's definitely our mantra. And then in terms of who it's good for, I suggest all people, even if you're just getting started out, even if you're just doing side work on the weekends, start with a good basis. Like, start with a foundation, because that's what you're going to build from. And we start at $49 a month. So it's something that's super affordable on an entry level. And, we serve, I would say, companies between $0 to $1 million in revenue incredibly well, between like 1 to 10 really well, and 10 to 20 pretty good.
Yeah.
And beyond 20 million plus, we still have a lot of 20 million plus companies using Houscall Pro, but it's because the owners want to save that money, and they'd rather have a bunch of vacation homes in a lot of different places with the cost savings that they have. But I would say there's other software that's out there for those really big shops, those 100 plus trucks, that they should definitely go check out. But we really service what we believe is 95% of the home services market. Because if you have anything, between even $1 million service business or a 10 million or a $5 million service business, you're in the top 0.1%. You've made it. And so that's who we target. That's where we optimize. And we've done really well there, because that's our focus.
Yeah.
Who are your friends? And what I mean by that is, who are the people that you integrate with, other software companies that integrates with Houscall Pro?
I would say, who are your favorites? Because I know there's a lot.
Okay. Who are the favorites? Because our mission is championing all pros to success, it's important to be able to integrate with other companies that offer other really good point solutions. So what I mean is, we're building a platform that our pros use on average 8.5 hours every day. But there are other tools out there that need to be able to talk to Houscall Pro, because they just focus on one particular thing. Maybe they focus just on review gen, or maybe they focus just on, automation and marketing, or maybe they focus on whatever else it might be.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's really important. And so with Houscall Pro, we have my favorite, which is really first Zapier. Zapier, if you haven't, and some people say Zapier. If you haven't heard about it, it's a really easy way to connect Houscall Pro to over 30,000 apps that are out there. And you don't need to write any lines of code. All you need to do is be able to string together a sentence that starts with, if this happens, then do this. And if you can kind of create those sentences, you can literally just talk about it, and you can know what to build in Zapier. So Zapier is by far my favorite. My second favorite that we have is not really an integration, but it allows for integrations. That's our open API. So on Houscall Pro, if you're on our Max plan, you can get what's called a token, which is the open API. And so what allows you to do, and you're like, what the hell is an API? What does that even mean? Think about API as a common language between two pieces of cloud software. It allows different software to talk to one another. And so people are like, well, Roland, I'm not a developer. I can't code. What should I do? And I'm like, look, there's plenty of people out there that can do this for you, whether it's a marketing agency, whether you might be working with like a coach or someone that's helping guide your business. They can put you in contact with developers. You can go online and go to Freelancer. You can go to Upwork. You can go to touring.com. You can go to Lemon.io. There's a whole bunch of places to find developers. And then they can build the software of your dreams on top of Houscall Pro without you having to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to replicate Houscall Pro, which you could also definitely do, but it's a little harder than that. So I would say those are my top two favorite. I would say Ryan and Chirp, they're doing a great job. Obviously, they're a sponsor, but I'm not just saying that. They've done a really good job integrating directly into Houscall Pro. You can do some really sweet automations from there. Historically, Nice Job has been really great from a review gen space. They focus a lot of time on that. But I would say just in general, Housecall Pro offers a lot of solutions across the space. Recently, we launched our own VoIP. So VoIP is internet telephony. So this is the ability to not just run it from your phone, but you can receive calls to the computer, and that's all connected into Housecall Pro. You can see where your leads are coming from. You can do call tracking numbers. You can do call recordings. You can listen to your CSRs. You can QA them. You can do all these things, and then you can determine what their closing rates are. So we just launched that piece. That's really good to go use. Also, last year we launched Housecall Pro Assist, which is really cool. It's our own call center. We have our own call center. We're like, hey, why don't we just offer this call center to our pros too? Because we got agents, we got people. Like, why don't we just offer that? So with Housecall Pro Assist, I tell a lot of folks, you're losing a lot of business just overnight because if someone needs your services and they don't get you, they're calling the next person. Yep. And even if someone leaves you a voicemail, chances are they probably found somebody at a certain point. So start with that overnight, because it's impossible for you to be able to staff something like that yourself, especially if you're a small business. So let us help by that. You just pay for the minutes that you use.
No, I love that feature, and I use it too. And being able to go back and listen to CSRs, and that's helped me keep my marketing accountable too, because they have their call reporting, and I was like, it doesn't seem like it matches up perfectly. And then I was like, okay, well, now with Housecall Pro, I can listen and I can make my own call reporting. So that's been great too. So yeah, can you tell us if anything's to come, or is that a no question?
Well, we actually have a public roadmap that's out there, and you can go to housecallpro.com/roadmap. And if you go there, you can kind of see some things that we publicly committed to go build. And then that shows most of the things, but there's some secret stuff that we're working on that's, we still have up our sleeves, because, it's like our pros, they're constantly in our Facebook group. So if you're not in our Facebook group, all you got to do is join Housecall Pro and we'll let you in. But our pros are always talking about things they'd like to see us build. And there's millions of things for us to build. And there's so many things that are like, oh, this is such a no-brainer. How could you have built a software without building this thing? And it's like, yeah, I know, but we're doing pretty well. So I think we know what we're doing. But when we see a lot of people asking for something, then we start to tally those up, and people will call them pro votes. Sometimes we'll call them pro votes, but then we're like, okay, yep, we got to go build this thing, and then so we have different squads that go build those types of things. But I would say our roadmap is one part, public and out there that you can kind of see, and then one part based on just like pro votes and other secret stuff that we're kind of working on under the covers. But I will say there are so many exciting things coming for, I would say, the $1 to $10 million range businesses. Okay. So kind of our bigger pros, more fidelity around our reporting, more fidelity around multi-trade jobs, multi-trade companies. We're getting a bunch of improvements to mobile coming. Our dashboard is getting a full revamp. That's the first screen you log into. That thing hasn't been touched in ages. We've got version 2 of online booking coming out, which is essentially there's someone out there in the space that does online booking that got acquired by another company. It's essentially offering that for free for our Housecall Pro users, bundled in certain plans. And it might be an add-on for certain plans. But, there's just a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. And whereas before we maybe had, just 4 engineers, which is kind of what we started with, which is my co-founders, now we have hundreds of them. And so it's just, we're going to continue to build more and more stuff. And the value of paying monthly, that's why subscription is amazing. You get all of this stuff and you don't have to keep buying it and buying a new CD-ROM or, whatever, like old school days. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's all cloud-based. It just happens magically.
Yeah. I had not heard of Housecall Pro because I come from the automotive industry, automotive repair. I don't know if you have any clients in that space. I imagine it's all mostly contractors.
Not really like a garage style.
In automotive and automotive repair, there are so many people still using paper invoicing and just doing things that way. And then they try a new, point of sale software, new CRM of some sort. And there's like a huge learning curve. Tell me about the guy who starts with you guys. I'm imagining you still have this in your industry as well. One guy in a truck using paper invoices coming on board with you guys. Is that a big jump for him? How do you help him?
I'd say our oldest pro, his name's John Peters, and he's an electrician in San Francisco, and he runs a one-person electrician shop, and he's still working because he enjoys it. And he charges a really hefty hourly rate because there's so much knowledge that goes into the old buildings that are in San Francisco. But he uses Housecall Pro, and he started with pen and paper, and he's using all of the things. And so I always go to people like, hey, if he can do it, I'm sure you can do it. And so majority of our customers are coming together or coming to us from some sort of pen and paper or like, paper invoice, but Google Calendar and Square and maybe like MailChimp or QuickBooks, some kind of combination of some cobbled together stuff that sort of works, but it's suboptimal. And so majority of our folks come over for something like that. And I'd say something that makes us unique and is part of the secret sauce is we use what's called material UI design. And so people are like, well, what is that, Roland? What does that even matter for me? If you've used any Google products, this product will feel very googly to you because it's their design language. And so if you've used any Google product, which chances are you have, things will feel familiar. You'll see the triple lines and you'll know, oh, that's like a burger menu. More things will pop out from there. You see a little cog. Oh, that must be the settings thing. I can configure more things from there. The calendars look the same. Wow, how is that? So all of it is designed in that way. So that way it's very friendly and easy for people to get up and running. So there's some software out there that takes, they'll tell you it's like 3 to 4 to 5 months of onboarding. With Houscall Pro, our typical users up that same day if they're a smaller company, maybe next week if they're a little bit bigger company. So that like onboarding speed is just a huge part of our secret sauce, just making things simple.
So you had like job after job after business after experience after experience, and you've been hanging on to Houscall Pro for 10 years now. What's made you want to stay at Houscall Pro for 10 years?
That's a great question. I never knew that I would stay at a company for that long, honestly. And I feel like each year as we grow older, the impact that we make on other people's lives. I have my own secret stash that I save on my computer of people's stories. They'll tell me this like saved my marriage, like, oh, now I got time back with the kids and I appreciate everything you do. And a whole bunch of them, but just screenshots because people just DM me or message me or they'll text me or call me. And so I save those things. And so when that happens, it makes it very hard not to enjoy every single day what you do at work because you're making a massive impact. And when I think about the entire, let's call it $1 trillion home services space, maybe 800 billion, who knows? But, we're powering meaningful percentage of that now, like going through our platform. And so the impact that we make every single day is what makes it so amazing. And our mission of championing all pros to success, we could do that until we're dead. Like it'll always be a thing. It's like an evergreen mission and we can only get better at it. And so I feel like, when you're choosing to spend your time at anything you do at life, if you can do something bigger than just yourself, it makes it pretty easy to stay here, especially for 10 years now. And so I think we'll just continue on that mission. We've got an amazing company. We've got thousands of people now, or just, well over 1,000 now. So it's just the impact that we're making, not just on the pros' lives, our employees' lives, everybody, our great investors. It's a great journey.
Awesome, man.
Ryan and I feel like we have like this ongoing debate about DIYing things. I'll build the coffee table before I buy one. Ryan's like, buy it, just buy it. The weakness that I have is sometimes the pain of figuring it out myself. And like you said, cobbling those things together. Sometimes it takes me too long to reach the point where I'm like, I just need some help. Someone else has figured this thing out already, and they're the pro at that. Let me do what I do best and spend my time doing what I do best and let them do what they do best and go ahead and just bite the bullet and do it. And so I just imagine there's people out there, it's like maybe that guy with that pen and paper. The point that you make is that you're giving people time back. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And they might wait too long to do that. It might sound like hyperbole to say like it saves somebody's marriage, but I don't think so. That's a really big deal. How many hours somebody could get back and the quality of life that they can have as an owner is created by that. So I think that's really, really cool, man.
It's done a lot for me. I mean, the company that I came from, it was all pen and paper. We had to get there at 7:30 a.m. And then we had like a stack of papers that had every customer's name and address on it. And then at the end of the day, we had to come in, drop off that stack of papers with the tickets. And if the tickets weren't right, you had to go back in the morning and figure, it just was a lot of paper, a lot of back and forth. Going to Houscall Pro was like, oh, I don't even know how I was introduced to Houscall Pro, but I'm so happy that I was, because it was like, oh, we're just going to figure this thing out. And then like at Beltway, we have it where we have older technicians that want to start their first call at 7:30. We have younger technicians that want to start their first call at 9. That's totally possible with Houscall Pro. So like Housecall Pro is way more than a CRM. It makes your culture better. It can fit into things. And I think Housecall Pro, including with boundaries, but Housecall Pro is one of the biggest reasons why it's not service versus install or office versus service. Because it's as simple as, when I was a technician, if the ticket wasn't filled out right, oh, holy hell, was it a big deal. But with Housecall Pro, it's like, hey, bud, you forgot to put in the private notes. Would you mind doing that? Oh, great. I'm going to text it in while I'm driving or whatever. It's easy. It's done. There's no like he said, she said. It's all like, this is how we communicate with each other. It's an ebb and flow. And Housecall Pro is basically us texting back and forth on what needs to happen on this job. And I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. One of the early features we saw that just got a lot of adoption is on the web portal. So for the admins of the office folks, you can also use it on the field if you want. There's kind of like an audit layer on every single job. It just shows the job history, who scheduled it when, what text went out, who changed a line item, who changed what price to what. So rather than having to ask them like, hey, Ryan, who approved this discount or who changed that line? It's just like you can see it right there, and there's no discussion about it. It's just transparent. Everyone can see it. Everyone's on that same page. Everyone's got full access to all the things, those special private notes that you have that you don't want customers to see, right? Like you might want to put in there like, oh, this one's a little pain in the ass. Remember to wear the booties, in the home and pet their cat, or whatever the hell it is. You can put all that in Housecall Pro and you don't lose that like layer of customer service between, office staff and technicians that are actually out in the field doing the work.
Yeah, and you upload the pictures and everything's just like the installer gets to see the job before we get there. Like when I was a technician on an install, I got a piece of paper and said, hey, you're installing a 3-ton air conditioner today. And you're like, all right, I have no idea if it's in an attic. I have no idea if it's in a basement. I have no idea what the access hole is. I'm just going to go install an air conditioner. I want to figure it out when I get there. Housecall Pro, these guys are getting done at 11:30, 12 o'clock. It's like, oh, well, I got everything I need and it's worked. So I'm happy for him, but, I had it a little harder.
So, Roland, I had this question that popped in my head just now. I'm going to ask you because I'm a big proponent that people's lives are a journey. It's like a path and it takes them somewhere. So I'm curious,
Steve
is
Jobs
there any
says.
Connection? Is that what he says?
I know you
Maybe
can't read it,
him.
but it says the dots connect. He made the speech. It was a good speech.
So you came from scuba diving and poker. How does that serve you with Housecall Pro? Is there any overlap? Is there any lessons that you learned from those things?
Yeah, I'd say poker is interesting because it's just a series of decisions and it's a bunch of things around expected value, EV. And so in life, there's a whole bunch of decisions that you make. And most of the time, maybe they work, maybe they don't. But either way, it's the kind of cumulative effect of all of those things. As long as you keep putting yourself in the right position, eventually you're going to win. And so it also teaches resiliency because you got lots of bad beats, especially if you play online poker, because you're just seeing a sheer high amount of hands. And so you get used to, getting those bad beats against you. But you have to know, you have to keep going, because on the other side of the coin, you get them too. And so humans tend to remember those like really tough moments and not really always all the amazing moments that happen. So poker's, really just a great fundamental. I think everyone should learn how to play it, not because it's gambling, not because anything there. It's a pure game of skill. And I would say from the diving aspect, it really came down to things that transition was customer experience. So when people go diving, they're really hoping to see that amazing animal they've always wanted to see, or they want to see like the flock of mobula rays, or they want to see like, the 6, reef sharks, that the white tips that hang out in a certain place, or, they're looking for these experiences. And so people are, paying for that experience. And sometimes you don't get to see things because nature is nature. And so, you really got to learn to adapt and change and help people change their perspective on how do you still make it an amazing dive. And I think those types of things from a customer experience lens are all really important skills to learn because, life is just a series of setting people's expectations correctly. And, a lot of people are like, oh, everyone just says, under promise, over deliver. It's not about that. Just setting realistic expectations with whoever it is always a great recipe for success, whether it's professional or personal. Hey, I'm going to be here at this time. Are you going to show up or are you not? What does that do to your future relationship? Like all these things have these effects, but you're setting expectations. I think customer experience, setting expectations and boundaries, that kind of comes from the scuba world. I think just in general, all business overlaps anyways, and I feel that someone's willing to pay something for some service, whether it's software, whether it's installing a 3-ton 12-seer, whatever, ductless mini split, whatever it is, right? Like it doesn't matter. And so as long as there's value being exchanged and someone understands that value, it's okay. It's going to be all right. And that's how humans have done it for a very long time. There's several really good books about this. The Rational Optimist is a really cool book that I've been reading. What else? Here's another good one. This one's one of my favorites. Meditations.
Stoicism.
You got another one here, The Daily Stoic. Constantly learning.
I've read some of those.
Yeah.
It's great.
Dude, well, thank you so much, man. I'm glad that I got to learn not just about your software, but also the fact that you're a scuba diver. I'm inspired. I feel like I need to face my fear and go and learn how to scuba dive now.
I'm not doing it. No. If I scuba dive, I want to see nothing. That's my experience.
How do people stay in touch with you, Roland, and your company? What's the best way?
Sure. Yeah. So Houscall Pro, you can find us easily online. We're just at housecallpro.com. We're on all the socials. I'd say our secret sauce is our community. So once you join Houscall Pro, you get to join our Facebook group and you get to talk to all other sorts of like-minded pros who use Houscall Pro. If you want to stay in touch with me, or if you're like, hey, something I said resonated with you, or you got a question, or you're a Houscall Pro customer and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you. My email is just roland@housecallpro.com, and feel free to shoot me off an email and I'll be happy to chat with anybody.
Sweet. And you also mentioned that there's an affiliate link that our listeners have for some discounts. So we will link that into the comments as well. So that have that in place and they can get a cool offer to get started onboarding with you guys.
Perfect. Yep.
So,
we got the
awesome, man. It was great. Great to have you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.